Are you ready to give up on this year's garden? I know I am, but I encourage you to give it just a little bit longer. Hi everybody, this is Deb from Just Do Something Homestead, and today I'm hoping to give you a little bit of encouragement. This has been a really tough garden, and this morning I did a short on whether you should just till it all under or keep on trying. Let's talk about it. Today, I'm going to give you 6 reasons why you should not give up on your garden quite yet. I have gardened on my own for well over 40 years, and in those 40 years, I have never encountered all of the obstacles that we faced just this year. In the last 8 months alone, we have gone from a warm winter to a wet spring to a major drought. And from that drought came the heat. And honestly, if that wasn't enough to deal with, then the insects came and destroyed most of my plants, especially my squash. Cucumber beetles decimated all of my cucumbers except for 2, and I ended up pulling out those plants over and over again. And now that I replanted, only 1 of my cucumbers is still alive. I've gotten a total of 3 squash this year, 1 patty pan, 1 zucchini, and 1 summer crookneck, and that is it. And lastly, my beans were chewed off to the ground overnight. But you know what I did? Every time I pulled out a dead plant, I immediately planted more. So let's talk about the good. This is the heaviest watermelon I have ever raised. Every day I check it just to see if it's ripe. I found an amazing white bell pepper that produces like none other. My okra is growing. I had 3 jumbo muskmelon. And look at my sunflowers. Those rabbits chewed them off at least 5 times. Every time they chewed them off, I planted them back. Tallest one is well over 12 feet tall and will feed my chickens all winter long. My beans had a slow start, but once they started going, they had some of the best beans we have ever grown, and we had bushels of them. This is my second patch, and they are just getting started. Unfortunately, my lima beans are iffy. Many of them have completely dried up to nothing. These are gypsy peppers. They are producing far faster than I can keep up with. But here is the biggest disappointment of the year. These are just some of the tomatoes that I pull off my plants every single day. I have cracked tomatoes from suddenly receiving rain, tomato plants that have blight, blossom end rot, and tomato hornworm damage. Every time I turned around, something was trying to destroy my tomatoes. But this is what I also have. This is known as hope. Every time I was about to rip out all these plants, it would suddenly get some new ones. I also have to remind myself that the best crops of tomatoes I've ever raised has actually been in September and October. And look at this kale. All summer I lost the entire crop of kale from insect damage. In fact, you can see some of it on the lower leaves. But finally, it's starting to grow healthy again. Ever-grown celery? This guy is hanging on. And look at my new eggplants growing. I may yet get my first white eggplant. So what's a girl to do when every time you planted something, it simply shriveled up and died? Well, for me, I planted more. And even if these beans were supposed to be pole beans, and evidently they are bush beans, they're still going to give me a crop of beans. And I just replanted this entire section of my garden. So what can you do when your garden has been a massive disappointment? Number 1, learn from your mistakes. My big mistake was planting squash in the middle of the summer. I should have either done it early or done it late. Number 2, protect your garden from all types of weather issues. I had never used shade cloths before, but these shade cloths saved my tomato plants when it was over 100 degrees in a massive drought. Number 3, find out which products actually work and which of them are a waste of your time. Most of these products simply weren't powerful enough to make a dent. What ultimately worked for me was diatomaceous earth food grade. Number 4, make a plan. These tomatoes struggled all year long. It is time for me to plant them in a new location. Next year, my peppers will be planted where the tomatoes are, and the tomatoes will be moved down here. My watermelon, pumpkins, squash, and cucumbers will be planted way on the other side of my property where I've never had any squash bugs. And this hayfield will be part of my brand new potato patch. I always keep a gardening journal and write down what went well and what did not. Number 5, plant disease-resistant varieties. While many of my peppers rotted on the bottom, like my tomatoes did, my white bell peppers did not. They were perfect. And number 6, don't give up. Don't lose your love for gardening from one bad year. Gardening is not for the faint at heart. In fact, it's a lot of hard work just to get a small return. Each year, learn something new and learn from those mistakes. But you know what? The biggest thing is not to get discouraged. You are going to be able to feed your family and grow your food. Each year is something different. Last year, we had oodles of cucumbers. And this year, very few. And last year, we had amazing tomatoes. But not this year. We grew delicious green beans this year. In fact, we had bushels and bushels of them. And if I am lucky, this is going to be one of the best watermelons we have ever grown. I really think that this dough had triplets. So yes, it's been a very hard year to garden, but I don't want to leave you discouraged. I want you to learn by this garden and come up with a plan for next year. If you found encouragement, even just a little bit, in today's video, please like, subscribe, and share. Have a blessed day, everybody. Bye-bye.